One of those comments went something like, "Isn't it a blessing to be alive when you see a couple with this bliss?" Thank you very much for bringing her last time. I hope she comes again.
She was to be with me here today, but other duty calls. As much as possible, we'll try to come and to participate. And I want to appreciate this wonderful slot on Insight. Thank you so much.
A couple of people actually appreciate it, and they say you've gone a long way to help keep their couples united after they went through couples of crisis periods and so on. Thanks sincerely. Please take our greetings to every member of the family.
Thanks so much. My greetings and happy weekend to our viewers, and do same for the family too.
Thanks sincerely. And well, on that note, we'll just say bye-bye, but you're not gone for good. You're coming back to us next week.
Not for good. I'm not into unexplained hibernation.
Thanks sincerely for staying on with us. If you're out there, if you're just joining us, please remember there's still lots more we have to cover in this edition. It's the weekend installment of Inside, coming to you from Cameroon's largest city, Douala. Because we were talking about marriage, here is one of the reasons why you need to draw the red lines and tell your in-laws, don't cross, right? Just comedy with Mr. Macaroni.
Motunde, I don't have that. This twice already now.
Daddy, wait for you. So
Don't.
he's even here, Seth. He's already here.
Hi, baby.
Hi, darling.
In fact, she has told me so much about you. You put your spices. Beautiful. So what do you do? My DJ is special guest. Wow, that's good. That's good.
No, I just bought different sizes so you can pick the one you want. Should I return them?
Leave it. He's our guest. And you bring something for me to let me drink something before I go out. Yes, sir. My in-law! So good too. What's it there? My in-law! So how is the work? How's the work going?
Very okay, sir.
Easy, take it easy.
Yes, sir. Very good. Ogbe baje. Na really ṣe kilichi.
My in-law, so.
Yes, sir.
Wow. What you?
Yes, sir.
Ha! What's going on here? So,
My lord, what kind of kilichi is this?
first spices dish.
I didn't know I could do kilichi, no be small. Sorry, where can we get the 12 spices, sir?
They are available in our stores.
Oh, baby. What have I done, sir?
Did you come here for food or for what? Is this Hunger Games? Do you know this one will not only eat you, it will eat your future. It will even go back to eat your past.
This is not food now. I've been on diet for the past 2.5 years, sir.
Oh, you're on diet like
I'm on diet.
Stand up, go and die.
Where is the food you have served?
I said, what? Do you?
Sorry, sir.
Money, I don't.
Sorry, sir. Can I have the last one, sir?
Cameroonians and Cameroon are talented, right? You hear what I said? I didn't only say Cameroonians because that's supposed to be the group of people who have the talent. Cameroon as a whole is so blessed with talent that it's hard to describe and fathom what people in this country can do. We'll be telling you about someone who comes to us from the southwest region of the country. He is an inventor, he's an applications developer. He used to be at the Silicon Mountain, that's Boya, the foot of Mount Cameroon. He has actually turned a wristwatch into a testing equipment for COVID-19. We'll be talking to him as time goes on, so you have all the reasons in the world to stay on with us. Right now, I'll be laughing because this is my space, right? Danfu Jones is here, and with him we'll be surfing on the internet, the social media platforms, to find out what Cameroonians and others are talking about. Thanks for coming, Jones.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
You cannot fathom how much pleasure is in my heart whenever you're here. I actually start out just laughing like a fool when I see you. So how was your night?
So bad. So bad.
For once in a very long while, I've not seen you putting on the face mask. What's going on?
Yeah, as I said here the other time, that putting on the face mask puts us at a much risk than when we don't put it.
Right, it depends on how you use them.
Yeah, you use it, and when you put on the face mask, you're always tempted to touch your nose, and it's not good for your health. And secondly, don't be surprised that at the end of the day we will end up having problems with our respiratory system, given that our bodies don't take enough oxygen as is required, because the face mask is not easy to breathe inside.
Right. I'm burning to hear what the medical experts will say regarding the last thing you said, right, about the face mask blocking respiration and so on. We'll talk to a doctor very soon and find out if there's contradiction for you. Don't be sure, I'll bring it to you, right?
Yeah.
So Paul Biya has, well, I use the word re-emerge from, quote-unquote, unexplained hibernation. Kejan had trouble with that. Now you say he has resurfaced.
Yes, Paul Biya has resurfaced.
Are you saying, or the people on the...
the people on the social media...
They're watching you, right? Be careful with the words you use, right?
The people on social media have said that the president of the Republic of Cameroon, who was said to have been missing
in action,
has now resurfaced, both in action and physical. Because even France 24 described him as the rarest president, one of the rarest presidents in the world, given that people were coming out with their own ideas and their own contribution in what concerns the fight against the COVID-19. Okay. Unfortunately, he has not come out like others, but he is one of a kind. I said earlier that, I said the other time that Cameroon is African in nature, meaning that everything that is in Africa is in Cameroon. So if you expect that after all the presidents in Africa has not yet come out with their own contribution as concerns the COVID-19. So Mr. Biya, as special as he is, has not come out, so it's no event. He must not do what everybody does. Yes, and now after so much speculation, people say he has died and all that, he has now come out, not to express himself as a living person, but he came out in a walk-in session, the ambassador of France, just to tell the public that silence is not a sign of weakness, that I have been silenced, but I have been walking in the background. But the social media actors were criticizing the images that were on TV. Some said that it's Photoshop, some said those images, that meeting was first of all held. Some said...
So it's an old meeting.
That's an old meeting. They just brought it back to deceive Cameroonians. But I know that Mr. Biya is strong and kicking because they have not yet announced him death.
I said to watch your words, right? So you knew that he was strong and kicking.
I told you here, I think the last edition I told you here that he was strong and kicking and he's in Yaoundé.
Okay.
Yes, so we are happy after all, because after Pamparampam came on his online channel and said that people should be looking for the president of Cameroon everywhere, every country, they should search for him because he has gone missing. Now at least he also can be satisfied with the outing of the president.
There is something I read last night too as I was preparing this installment of the show, right? Some people say, well, President Paul Biya is 87 years old. He's actually the oldest serving African leader and the second longest serving president on the continent. Some people say, leave him alone. He's tired, right? He needs to take time off and go rest, especially in times like this when even Boris Johnson in the UK gets infected by the virus. Pa needs time off, so he needs to take a break every now and then. If he doesn't talk, people talk. When he talks, people talk. What's the issue?
And more to that, he's not working alone. He has a lot of ministers, intellectuals, and energetic working young men around him who will do the job for him.
Right.
He must not be there for Cameroon to move forward.
Some even work so hard, and I'm referring to the Minister of Territorial Administration,
Mr. Tanganji Paul.
That France Venkat will actually mistake his name for Kamto.
Right. Which is so embarrassing.
Right.
And we'll go to the second element, which
the lineage.
is the Pobia's lineage.
Yeah. I just mentioned this age a while
yes,
ago.
I separated it intentionally to make the viewers understand that though people are saying Mr. Biya is old in his 87 years, I think that Mr. Biya is still a young man, because when you are old, you go on retirement. If he's still in service, it means that he's still strong and kicking.
In Cameroon, you go on retirement at 60, 65?
Yeah,
not 87.
And in Cameroon, they say age is in the head. So he can be 87 in number, and in his head, he's 50.
So age is nothing but
number.
Right.
And so in Mr. Biya's lineage, from what the social media says, is that Mr. Biya's father died at the age of 124.
Why are you leading us towards? Wait, what are you saying?
I think you should just let me know.
Died at what age?
The age of 124 years.
So we can expect to see him live up to 120 years.
I'm telling you that it's the lineage, and the mother is battling with 100 years. The mother is battling with 100 years. Why should you people think that Mr. Biya should die at 87? He's still young. Because if you compare the age of the father, the age of which the father died.
I told you this is where I laugh until I become a fool, right?
You want to compare the age of his father when he died and the age of Mr. Biya, you see that he still has about 30 to 40 years to live. And it is said that children should do more than what their parents did. So if the father died at 124, we should be expecting that Mr. Biya should die at 150.
130.
Well, 150.
150.
Yeah, because the father didn't go to school. He went to school. The father was not the president and had all the let me say, advantages, the bonuses, and everything.
And those were those days when you didn't have the medical.
Yeah, but now he has all those things at his disposal. Right. Why won't he live more than his father?
Okay.
So people should stop saying that Mr. Biya will die. He will not die.
Yeah, the last time they announced
the president of Cameroon will not die.
His obituary, he came out from the quote-unquote hibernation to announce to give him 20 more years. He's still on those.
Yeah. I think there are 4 years left when he says so.
Okay.
Which can also be renewed.
Right, because you're talking about death and obituaries, let's go to Joseph Bandam of the SDF. You say there's no respect?
Yeah, he died, and on the social media, his body was being portrayed and in a very bad condition. Not that the body was bad, but people showed on social media, and I don't think that is good. For at least if you don't respect someone when he's alive, you should respect him when he dies.
On the stretcher.
Yes, on the
open space.
I don't know how the image managed to reach the social media, but I think those who are partakers of sharing such images, I don't think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because it's Mr. Bandam today, and tomorrow will be anybody else. So if you are sharing and insulting the dead, don't remember that you also die someday.
Yeah, we didn't come here rather to live for life. Right?
Yeah, and Bandam died after being sick, but you might die in an accident, maybe it's crutch beyond maybe recognition.
All right.
So people should respect the death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Fu Richard Jeniwa is a partner to Canal de English, right? And you say he is at odds?
Yeah, he
with Bill Gates?
He answers the rip of Bill Gates. That's Bill Gates' wife.
All right.
Yeah, he says that because Bill Gates' wife said she sees corpses litter in the streets of Africa in the nearest future. And Ms. Dr. Fu says that, how can you say that? He says that if that has to happen, it will be until Africa accepts the evil vaccine that the Bill Gates family is proposing to Africa.
Is it Bill Gates or the French researchers?
Yes, are proposing to Africa. If Africa does not accept that vaccine, no corpse will be found on the street. And he went forward to say that all Africans, that we should learn how to believe in our abilities.
Okay.
And you must agree with me that he is a researcher who has been working so hard to eat that African herbal medicines take another shape and move to another level.
Yeah.
So far, while the world is still jubilating around the hand sanitizers, he has gone as far as inventing the mouth sanitizer.
Okay.
We has just to tell the world that Africa is not sleeping. We are also thinking.
Right.
And he has also invented a product that fights against coronavirus.
Yeah, he announced it a
treatment.
couple of weeks ago. We're
Yeah.
going to have him here one of these days to talk about the, well, how you call it, the veracity of that product he calls
Coronin 20.
20 or something.
Voila.
Now, this pastor, Adilaja,
Yeah.
is supporting Bill Gates even when the likes of Dr. Fu are mad at
Yeah,
him.
why Dr. Fu is kicking against what the biggest wife said, Pastor Sunday Adilaja of God Embassy Church in Ukraine, 52 years of age. And God Embassy Church in Ukraine is one of the biggest Pentecostal churches in Ukraine. And the man says that Africa has to apologize, is supposed to apologize to Bill Gates and his wife for rejecting and calling them names on social media.
Okay.
That he was in the meeting with Bill Gates and others in the year 2015, and they were discussing their own project in Africa, and Bill Gates pledged to give, I don't know how much, to support Africa, that he has been working in Africa for the past 25 years. So if he is proposing vaccine in Africa, Africans ought to embrace it and not criticize and give him names.
Okay, we're going to hear more about Bill Gates when we get to damage control and doctor damages in particular. Now, if you're one of those who, if you're fond of witchcraft, right? Please raise your hand up and say, here we are. Because there's good news for you. You can go to South Africa and go to a witchcraft school.
Yeah, that
Correct.
the witchcraft school, the first of its kind in Africa, was launched on the 20th of March 2020, where witches and wizards are called upon to enroll their courses.
Yeah. Go ahead.
take courses including mathematics and physical sciences.
What kind of mathematics that witchcraft on?
Yeah,
How
you
do you
can
learn
maybe
mathematics?
measure the distance to fly
By night.
to fly by night from Europe. From
We
Europe
all
to Africa,
Wait
Africa
for
to
the virus to the pandemic to chill out, and we'll all just be flying to America and Europe.
and given that this pandemic also has come to place, maybe the witchcraft school may also help the witches and wizards to use their witchcraft positively, maybe to bring a change to Africa. I don't know the intention of the school being open, but that's what the social media said. The opening of the school is like, the news is not really real. I've not verified it, but that's what social media says, that a school of witchcraft has been opened in South Africa.
Okay.
That they say, if a school of metaphysics is open in Europe, why not open a school of witchcraft in Africa?
Okay, now let's wrap this up as quickly as possible. If you are from the Basa land, you know they call some people the Mbok now. Sometimes I just think that the wizard you were mentioning. But this one says the late TV animator from Equinox,
Yeah,
Flora Zay, who died. What's Mbok saying?
Mbok also is the same platform with Flora Z, so there were some sort of collaborators.
So what did he say?
He said that if Flora's death is as a result of poison during the daughter's birthday, they will not let it go like that.
I told you
They,
about
they-
witchcraft.
they will keep the church. He said they will keep the church
Why?
aside and then do what the Africans can do.
Okay, let's see how far witchcraft can go in this case. Thank you for coming, Ross.
Always a pleasure.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week, right?
Hopefully.
All right. If you're just joining us, please, you've not missed out on very much, but you missed out on some very good things. Here's a refresher with the headlines. After several weeks of what some labeled unexplained hibernation, Cameroon's President Paul Biya has resurfaced. His public reappearance coincides with the announcement by his government of several measures aimed at containing the spread of the killer COVID-19, including prominently a controversial decree freeing prisoners from incarceration and commuting sentences for others.
I think that the fact that the clemency excluded some persons is quite challenging. And I've had the opportunity to work within prison, and I know how challenging it is to be in prison. And it would have been my wish that many more people are given this opportunity or to benefit from this pardon. But of course, I understand as well that these decrees, these decisions are always taken with other recommendation and consideration. So I don't work within government space. I have no idea about a judicial system.
And then, hitting the back pedals back down the lanes of memory, Uncle Njomo Kevin revisits those days when there were no iPads and CD players, and when the record player was the preserve of a select few.
Mr. Jumbo, I think I was one of the students who had one record player in school when I was in college. In fact, my father offered me this record player for a birthday present. And since I love music so much, it was that record player was Lulu Mond. I was the only person who had a record player in secondary school.
And elsewhere, Dr. Damages hits hard at French researchers who recently prescribed that Africa and Africans be used as guinea pigs for the experimentation of anti-COVID-19 vaccines. And the doctor with a difference does not stop there, as he opens verbal fire on the likes of Bill Gates as well as renowned men of God.
When the phone was invented in 1867, Pastor Chris Oyekinlome's great-grandfather was still a palm tapper. People like Pastor Chris were screaming. They were scared that people would be shocked if they touched the telephone box. In Sweden, preachers like Pastor Chris screamed that the telephone was an instrument of the devil, that through it the devil will invade the world. Now, none of them envisaged that in 2018, a pastor in South Africa will use the telephone to speak directly with God. They didn't see that.
Is this heaven? Yeah! Is it heaven? Yeah! What else, Papa God? What else, Papa God?
Emmanuel Bevilka, right? That's a Cameroonian Russian, that's a Lamso. Is doing the overall supervision, and Roland Lebja is on the video mixing machines. I need some more coffee in that cup, right? Before we get there, I told you earlier on that the COVID-19 has been inspiring or serving as a source of inspiration for musicians, for creators in general across the world. Now, one of such associations, it has infected. Not infected in terms of getting the virus, but infected like spurring them to action, is the Africa Patriotic Youth Council movement. The president is here. He's a friend of ours. He's called King Afak Ernest. Over the past couple of weeks, he's been guiding and ushering a couple of young people to go out in efforts to help Cameroon as a nation contain the ravaging impacts of COVID-19. Thanks for coming, Ernest.
Thank you, Mr. Divine, and it's a pleasure to be here once more to educate our youth.
I like to see you sound and safe, but I'm looking around and asking myself, where's the face mask I used to have around? Because when you come, and I know you've been in contact with a couple of people out there all these days. And
unfortunately, I should be the one to be afraid of you because you have more cases than I do.
He got me right. He did. Thanks sincerely for coming.
Thank you so much.
And I look at you and the efforts you drum. You're always there. When there's something big, you're always there, mobilizing young people to come out and improve their worth.
Yeah, we believe that it is a test of time to test your ability as a leader, as an advocate, as anything you intend to do. There is a moment where you have to take proper actions without necessarily being told to do so, so that you can demonstrate that it is a free will, it is a genuine cause, it is like passion
That's
that took you to where you intend to be.
Taking
Not
your
like
responsibility.
because you see some money passing somewhere, you just go and position yourself to be part of the beneficiary. So we are trying to give people that awareness that the continent and the nation, the community we live needs each other proper intervention.
Okay. Now, yeah, please go ahead.
That is why the APYCM, the African Patriotic Youth Council, the Cameroon Charter, had to come
And
out
you're his president, right? He's just being very modest. He is Mr. President.
So we gather together and see that this is a time that we have to do something, especially when young youth are not aware of the impact that it is causing, especially economically, and otherwise health-wise, it is also causing a lot of challenges. So we realize that it is time, and we were the first group to be in the field to campaign and donate hand sanitizer and face masks to a lot of drivers, taxi driver, public drivers, and we met with them and we discussed with them on guide them on how to be hygienic, to take care of hygienic.
What's the reception been like from these people, from your target?
They were so impressed because we met with the bus drivers, the president, the union drivers, and the leaders. We discussed with them. They called their drivers, and we spoke to them and give them that kind of education that is necessary at this moment. That we told them, and we give them this hand sanitizer because you can imagine that they are the one that if they are affected, it means that coming back home one day they can affect a lot of people. So the drivers,
sorry about that, it's not COVID, right? Please.
The drivers are supposed to be well protected because they carry a lot of people each day. So when we give them that protection, we are actually protecting a number of people as well.
Right. I'm just wondering and saying that, well, if the drivers across Cameroon, because that's one space that's still open, it's not been locked down yet. These people take money, change, right? Every time you pay cash, they give you change, right? Imagine what could happen if only one of them gets infected. We're all dead. I'm scared. Now, I look at the young people across Cameroon, and I was mentioning the public transportation system. You still have the crowded buses, the 70-seater buses that shuttle between the urban centers across the country. And I just tell myself, I say, no, the young people in Cameroon are playing with this thing. They're playing with fire. They don't imagine what may happen when it will eventually happen. Right?
I think
are they aware enough, the young people in this place?
To an extent, they are limited with information or the gravity of the COVID-19 in their health and surrounding, because
they don't care,
they are
right?
also. I can also put it in this way that their inability to act the way we intend them to act is because of the inability of the government to act the way we're supposed to see them acting.
The government has been acting, Ernest. You can't deny that.
How can they be acting when you see, Mr. Divine? I am from Boya.
Just say Divine, it's okay. Go ahead.
I'm from Boya, and you have to imagine that all the decisions the government is taking to fight COVID-19 at the end is going back to the common citizen and causing more hardship to the same citizen. You can imagine the transport. Last time I came to Douala, I paid 3,000. That is 3 times the transport fare to Douala. And today I have to pay 2,500. That is additional cost. What about a common man who is earning not up to 1,000 francs a day? The decision taken by the government to reduce the number of persons in taxis or in
on the motorbike,
is a good decision, but how do you make this decision in such a way that it will not be handicap to the common citizen, because the masses are the soul, is the concern of everyone. Every government should be focusing on how the masses will feel better, not how their decision will sound good, but at the end causing more damage to the local population. That is my concern.
Would you prefer that that people die from hunger or die from COVID-19, Ernest? What's your pick there?
My pick there would be that
you die from
something that kills you.
It could be
anything, but you have to take measures towards anything that can kill you.
All right, and so you say, I'll just sum that up, right? You say the lackadaisical or the languid nature with which the young people across Cameroon are approaching the virus It's a result of what they see from above.
Above, that is, I think that is the major. Because also you have to know that coronavirus, I don't want to say that it is not a bad thing. It is a bad thing, but some of the consequences of our leader is more dangerous than coronavirus. You know that.
Okay. Let me rush you on this. Recently, there have been reactions and counter reactions following the treatment of Africans in China.
Yes.
Have you reacted at the level of the APYCM?
Yeah, in this week, we've all at the Continental platform, we've been discussing on measures to overcome this threat, and it is high time we are going to be very tough when situations like this come.
How tough can you be?
We can be tough because
this is the same
for
China
instance,
that all of Africa
last year on
relies
behalf of
for,
the APYCM, on my
so
way back from South America, I had to on my transit in Europe in
Istanbul, right?
Istanbul.
I remember.
Yeah, you see, I found that Africans were badly treated and detained in the airport. I took images and videos, advocated and shared it to some diplomats, and they reacted because we told them that it's gone past the time that you have to treat Africans the way you think. Why coming to Africans' own businesses and operate the way you like, and you go back to your country and you find our citizens being treated like animals? You can't imagine that Turkey was the one taking care of this this stadium constructed, and they are making a lot of money. But you go there, you find your citizens treated in that manner. It was very provocative, and I could not take it. I had to take other measures, complain to other our team in different countries, and we started reacting, and they had to bow to our pressure. That shows that the unity of Africa can create a greater force that everybody will respect. I always say that you cannot be respected if you cannot create impact. And so if we start creating impact by taking actions that you cannot be afraid of somebody if he has nothing to offer you or do you anything. But when you start looking at it, if I slap this guy will be able to slap me back in another form. That is when you try to adjust your actions towards that person.
Some say African leaders have proven to be the toothless bulldogs in this case, because apart from the likes of Ambassador Arikanachi Hombori, no African president has officially made a pronouncement regarding the Chinese treatment of Africans. We'll come to that when we come back next week, because I bet you it's going to be a trending story for the next coming weeks. Looking beyond COVID-19, where do you see the young people in Africa? You still have that conference in Uganda.
Yeah, it's coming up in July,
provided
after the COVID-19 is over, and we are also looking forward to have more participants from Cameroon. I received a letter of more engagement from Cameroon.
That's good news, right?
Yeah, so we are looking forward to have more participants that will be moving there for this, because it's all about fighting imperialist actions in Africa.
When you come around next time, and probably that will be next week, we'll delve more into how to get more people can participate.
Yes,
and come on join the APYCM platform.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Now we're going to, rush to